All right, back now to our top story this morning. Essential workers at the Churchill Falls generating station have been forced to leave after the wildfire threatening that town jumped the Churchill River. Joining us now to discuss the impact is Eddie Sheerr. He's in St. John's Forest this morning. Eddie, what more can you tell us?
The fire really ramped up in intensity yesterday afternoon, and the province and the premier were extremely concerned, even going back to yesterday morning that the fire may jump the river, and it did indeed do that yesterday. Now, circling back, this is a fire that started June 12th or 13th from a couple of lightning strikes, and it's pretty well been smoldering and burning to the south of the Trans-Labrador Highway, south of the airport, and until recently did not pose a direct threat to Churchill Falls or the airport or the generating station. But yesterday, as the winds ramped up from the south, temperatures were very warm, humidity was low, the fire grew explosively, crossed the river, and made its way to the airport, and also jumped the airport last night. And I believe the fire has slowed down somewhat and is now at the Smallwood Reservoir, which basically is a body of water that sits north of the airport, and the airport sits a good distance away from the town of Churchill Falls. So even though the airport has been affected by the fire, the town, from what I understand, might be doing okay. Now, I haven't gotten official reports of that, but I haven't seen or heard of any other reports of the fire actually making it into the town, at least to this point.
So, Eddie, what's the impact of employees having to leave the generating station? How critical are the coming hours?
So what you have to understand about Churchill Falls is it's basically a work town. So everybody that lives in Churchill Falls works for Newfoundland and Labrador Hydro. And so for the town to be evacuated because of the fire, that means a lot of the employees that work for NL Hydro there were also evacuated. And some were basically left behind to keep the generating station running. But then obviously, too, yesterday they were evacuated by a plane and helicopter from the Churchill Falls airport due to safety concerns of the fire. Yesterday, a couple of transmission lines did trip, which supply western sections of Labrador with power, Labrador City and Wabush. And NL Hydro had to work with Hydro-Quebec to get some power restored to portions of Labrador West because those lines have tripped and they can't access the plant to restore power from Churchill Falls. So that is probably one of the biggest impacts right now, as parts of Lab West are without power, although some is coming in from Fermont, Quebec. And also there are some industrial areas, some commercial customers rather in Lab West. IOC, one of them that comes to mind, big mine that is currently without power because of the tripping of the lines coming from Churchill Falls.
Eddie, last question. What's the outlook for fighting this fire? Is the weather cooperating?
The weather is not cooperating right now, but it should start to cooperate once we get through midday as rain will arrive, expecting up to 15 millimeters of rain this afternoon into this evening in the Churchill Falls area. On top of that, temperatures are going to fall after 2-3 o'clock as the cold front comes through and the wind direction will change to northerly. And the combination of those things should really help quell the fire. I don't know if it will put it out, but it will at least help calm it down a little bit. So hopefully fire suppression efforts can get back up and running to keep the town and the airport safe as they can from the fire. And also the wind direction is changing from southerly to northerly, which will essentially push the fire back on itself. So the fuel the fire will have to burn is going to be considerably less, which is some very good news. And on top of that, we are looking at more significant rainfall in the forecast for the weekend and next week. So some good news. Obviously, we'd like a lot of rain. That's not going to happen. So I don't know what the fire behavior is going to be like once we get through today or tomorrow. But the weather will start to cooperate a little more over the next 24 to 48 hours.
Okay. Eddie Sheerr. Eddie, thank you for that update. Really appreciate it.